Alright guys, time to grab it here. Rostermania rumours number 4 today for September the 18th. This is going to be the last episode before the Esports reveal on September 19th. I'll try and do a recap on that on the 20th. And today there's a fair bit to talk about. Obviously we'll have way more confirmations and stuff like that after 4v4 or 5v5 is confirmed. 5v5 is looking increasingly likely at the time being, so I'll focus most of my discussion around that possibility today. So to make sure you don't miss the recap and future Rostermania rumours episodes, subscribing's pretty good. So, last time the big story was about Team Reciprocity potentially being the mystery organisation and who the rich guy could be behind it all. Now, I stumbled across this comment from 5 months ago on the Optic Gaming sub because rumour has it that the rich guy was the same one that tried to pick up the Optic organisation several months ago, and now he's back in the game for the start of the Black Ops 4 season. We don't really know what organisation he is, but I have some pretty decent evidence today that suggests it could be this Team Reciprocity organisation. So you can pause this and read through it, but effectively this story talks about how Crim6 and the other guys were meeting up with some suited fellow that got in a Rolls Royce around the Atlanta time. Apparently the guy ended up pulling out when he realised the team was falling apart. So I thought it's a pretty interesting story if you want to read through it. Now, thanks to Ben Kerry, or however you pronounce it in the comments on my last video, saying that this guy on Twitter had tweeted out the director of Team Reciprocity is the founder of Epic, David Fawcett. Now, Epic doesn't mean Epic Games, it's a different Epic, but we'll talk about this in a second. So, this guy tweets out, this could be where rich guy gets his money. So I did a bit of an investigation. All this stuff's available publicly online if you want to go research it further yourself. This is David Fawcett's LinkedIn page. This seems like he might have a lot more money than the other rich guy. The reason why I thought Team Reciprocity might not be the real deal is because Chad Larson, the CEO, didn't seem like he has that much experience to have crazy money behind him. But this guy certainly does. Founded one of the first hedge funds in Canada in 2000, growing assets under management from 1 million. Founding partner from the year 2000. Obviously it takes time to build up cash. He needs to have been doing stuff for a while to have the amount of money behind him. Apparently he does, because supposedly they're offering $500,000 for John alone, which would be like $1 million a year for an entire team. Now, scroll down a little bit further. Director at Millennial Esports Corporation. And he mentions Pro Gaming League as well. Now, if we go back to what we had before about this Chad Larson lad, guess what? President and director of Millennial Esports Corp, and also the founder and president of the Pro Gaming League. So I guess that's where these guys met to some extent. And now he's the president and founder of Reciprocity Corporation. So this David Fawcett guy looks like this. Here he is, the director, founder of Epic, 21 years, including Canadian capital markets, 17 years managing money. Like, it seems like he's got a lot of money. This could be the suit guy that Greenwall1995 is talking about in his comments. So, just as further confirmation, David Fawcett, Epic Capital Management here. If you click on this, revenue is 2.2 million. And interestingly, Millennial Esports Corporation, which he is also a director of, is making 26 million a year. Good money. If you go on the Millennial Esports website, just pay attention to this line at the top here, home about team history, and we go on the Team Reciprocity page, and look at that. It's almost an identical. It's an identical page. When you scroll down, it changes the color. The font is exactly the same at the top. So I think that's pretty good proof that this is the right guy, and he's definitely connected to this Reciprocity organization. Now, as a further bit of evidence, this is the Gamepedia page for Team Reciprocity's Halo team. They initially picked up the Envy roster, including this player Miquin, I don't know how you really pronounce it, who went on to play for Renegades, but he played for Reciprocity at the Halo World Championship this year. Now, I found on a forum, this is Miquin's pro player page on the forum. 2 random Canadian investors and 2 Millennial Esports staff bought a team from Envy. I'm a bit confused here. Envy must have not fought too hard. There's about 100 companies named Epic. Who is this David Fawcett guy and what he found? That's what someone said. Miquin says, Envy offered us about double the salary we were at to try and keep us, but they still went to Team Reciprocity. So if that doesn't prove they've got a lot of money that they can outbid Envy that significantly and grab a team like this, I'm sure that they're trying to do the same in Call of Duty. That seems to be the line. Team Reciprocity also did confirm on Twitter that they are searching a Call of Duty team. They didn't go in depth about what sort of scale of team they're on about, but I think it's very possible that this is the rich guy people are talking about, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Have we cracked the code? So outside of this, I'll talk about some other rumours, and then just before before the esports reveal, I want to go through all the top organizations, talk about what the rumours are around each team. So this is Jerd. I don't know how much this means. Obviously, he's the only player remaining on the Splice team. Bantz officially announced he was released. Madcat and Josh have already gone, supposedly to their Madcat, Josh, Dave, Alex lineup, which we don't know which organisation that's going to go to. No more information on that. So recently he followed aBeZy, Hook, and Classic. Now, this could mean absolutely nothing at all, but Hook and Classic on Envy could be potential targets of Splice. Hook doesn't seem to be getting offers left, right, and centre from the top tier organisations like the Optic 100 Thieves, this rich guy organisation, maybe Reciprocity, whatever it could be. Doesn't seem to be getting offers from there. They're more targeting John. So maybe Hook is up for grab. Now, he definitely has a huge buyout from Envy because they've had him for a few years, even when he was a Halo player, played with Mikwin, of course, we were just talking about. But if Splice is truly trying to make a world-class team like they were talking about, Hook is definitely an option you could pick up. Hook and Jerd as an SMG duo would be just filthy. Now, he follows Classic as well, so maybe they're trying to nab him. aBeZy is an interesting one. If things go 5v5, having 3 hardcore SMGs probably makes sense. But as of now, it's tough to say that Hook and aBeZy would also fit on a team with Jerdin. So maybe it's a one or the other situation. But this is also up in the air. He just followed them on Twitter. But, you know, it's something to think about. So, focusing down under for a second, Mindfreak announced the re-signing of Shockz and Fighta, as you can see right here. So, Denz has already announced he's searching for a North American or European lineup. Shockz and Fighta are going to stay, I think mostly due to the fact they're studying at university in Australia. They can't really leave at this time or it would mess up their degree, so at least stick it out one more year. Now, interestingly, they also announced the pickup of their third, which is this guy, Louqa. I'd never heard of this guy. Probably unless you keep up a lot with the Australian scene, would you have heard of this guy? An 18-year-old, I thought they'd probably pick up one of the Tate of Minds guys or Excite, or like they've teamed with before, but no, you got this new guy. No announcement as yet as whether Buzzo is returning. I think before the 4v4 or 5v5 announcement is confirmed, it makes sense to only have a team of 3, so you can keep your options open when things do happen. But after that, we'll probably get a lot of information. Shockz does say this on Twitter though. Fighta, Looqa and I running at your subs is going to be a shutdown. Now, we know Shockz is an SMG player, Fighta's the same, and this implies that Louqa is also an SMG player, which means that they'll definitely need an assault rifle as their 4th. And if it goes 5v5, probably need 2 assault rifles, maybe an AR and more of a versatile player. Now, of course, Mindfreak haven't announced that Buzzo was re-signed yet. Surely if 5v5 is announced, Buzzo makes a lot of sense for this team. He's already on the team, and he probably doesn't have that many international offers like Denz would, because Denz is more versatile player. Buzzo is considered more of like a mid-tier assault rifle. Denz is definitely outshone him this year. Buzzo might have international offers which you could explore, but I don't think it's as likely for him to move aboard as Denz. So I do expect Buzzo to come back on this team, especially if it's 5v5, and then they'll need another player. Maybe they get another assault rifle from Tate and Minds like a Damage. Maybe they pick up Excite, who was on Taboo, who they've teamed with before. So we'll have to see how it works for the Mindfreak guys. The Shockz tweets this, Mitch referring to Buzzo. Now this means re-signed rather than resigned, I'm almost certain. Needs a little bit of a hyphen in there. He also says he's the captain for the 2019 season. With Shockz, you don't know what is fact and what's fiction. You don't know whether he's being sarcastic. But if this is true and Shockz is the captain, then that kind of makes sense that Buzzo might not be rejoining. But with Shockz, you never know. He says Mitch hasn't re-signed, but it's certainly possible that he could do in the coming days. But read into this what you will. Alright, so let's talk through the current organisations and what the rumours surrounding them seem to be. Optic Gaming, Crim6, Scump, TJ and Dashi seems to be almost certain. Haven't heard anything otherwise. They've been playing with each other on Blackout as well. Apparently that's 99% set in stone. Their 5th is an interesting question if it goes that way. Karma is definitely their target as a 5th. They've been playing with him in Blackout. The vibes seem to be pretty good between them. I heard that Karma wants something of a fresh start, but if the money's right, he'll probably stay on Optic. It's less hassle and it guarantees a top tier squad. Now if Karma doesn't go, who do they get as their 5th? Maybe someone like Slack from Luminosity. Very much up in the air. One of the problems with going 5v5 is there isn't really enough top tier talent to fill out a load of rosters. People are going to be poaching, and as Karma said in the tweet I talked about before, getting like a subpar 5th is one of his concerns. And also there's going to be a fair few organisations who just don't have the money to compete in a 5v5 situation and leave the esport completely. But that's the topic I covered in a previous video. So Crimscump, Dashy TJ, possibly Karma, but no guarantees. Now the Rich Guys organization, he supposedly wants to pick up John and Slasher, maybe also Karma. 4th and 5th, not sure as of now. JCap is probably a target as Luminosity is going to have a tough time holding on to their players. 100 Thieves, we already know that Kenny, Pharaoh and Octane are confirmed on the squad. Karma supposedly has an offer, as does Gunless, but JCap might be a great fit for that squad. These top tier teams have really got to search for the most versatile players. As soon as the 5v5 announcement happens, teams are going to be scrambling to get their players sorted when we don't really know whether Black Ops 4 is going to be like a 3 SMG, 2 AR setup. You want to get the most versatile players on your team so you have the best chance. So JCap and Karma will definitely be hot property, and Optic, the Rich Guys org and 100 Thieves, the orgs with probably the most money, apart from maybe an Echo Fox, will be trying to grab these players as soon as possible, I'm sure of it. So LG has an interesting situation. They want to get Gunless to pair up with Formal. I think Formal has such a high buyout that even the orgs with great money are not very willing to pay it. John supposedly is already gone, potentially signed with Team Reciprocity, the Rich Guys organization. I think they're willing to let JCap go kind of cheap, so he'll almost certainly leave. Slacked may stay. He's one of those sort of leftover SMG players that another top team will target to fill out their 5-man roster. But LG, I'm sure, need that sort of player as well. Now, E United, Arstes and Bristini are supposedly off the team. Fellow and Clayster remain, but Clayster may be a target of another team and E United might lose him completely. EU don't have a crazy amount of money to spend like these other teams. If they're going to offer a lot of money for Clayster, they might have to take it. Of course, if they lose Clayster, they lose a lot of their fan base. So E United should do everything to hold on to Clay, but there's no guarantees. Now, Rise Nation, Looney should stay on the team. Donny Temp has been a rumour to go to that lineup. Also, they might target a player like Denz. I think a lot of these teams that I've mentioned could benefit from a guy like Denz, but who will grab him? That's the question. Envy, I just talked about Splice potentially going after Hook, but he does have a big buyout, so he may well stay on Envy. Arstes and Bristini supposedly also going to go to that team, which would be a very young team. Arstes, as I said before, wants to be the main assault rifle, so maybe they go after Denz or a player of that sort of caliber. Classic has supposedly been released, as has Decimate. Decimate and Blast from Complexity are a team of 2. No one really knows where they're going to go, if they are a team of 2 at all. Now, Echo Fox, it's so tough to tell. You've got Aqua, who is rumoured to maybe go to Lightning Pandas alongside Royalty and Zotic. Facento and Saints are also big names. Echo Fox has a lot of financial backing, so they should be able to get a pretty good roster, but we've had no rumours out of where they will end up. But there's obviously going to be a roster change in World War II. Now, staying in North America for a second, FaZe Clan are going to stick as Zuma, Attach, Priester and Replays, but who do they get as their 5th? It's very unsure at the time being, but if it's 4v4, they're definitely going to stay as that. Evil Geniuses, of course, also need a 5th, so Aches, Assault, Apathy, Silly, they're going to need a +1. Your guess is as good as mine on these, and feel free to make predictions in the comments below. Now, Europe, Red Reserve, gonna stick as their 4 most likely. There's been some potentially bait tweets on the Twitter about picking up Bance as their 5th player, which is definitely a possibility, but you never know when they're baiting and when they're not. If it goes 5v5, surely Tommy gets an offer from one of these teams. He did say he wanted to stick on Vitality, but if Alex has left Unilad to go on Mad Cat's team, there's a 5th spot open on that team. Unilad now need 2 players. I talked about them maybe getting Bance, but if it goes 5v5, he might go to Red Reserve. Who the hell comes back into play? Maybe even Swanee returns out of nowhere? It's anybody's guess. Splice were linked potentially with Accuracy, also maybe Enable, because the TK lineup is going to be left with amateurs because they really don't have the money to compete for the high-end players. Splice may go down that route to pair with Jerd, but it's so difficult to say right now. Team Reciprocity is looking very likely as your mystery organisation, and let's hold our breath for the Esports reveal on September 19th. Season structure changes, potentially the big 5v5 announcement. I'm very apprehensive, but I'll do my best to cover it all. So like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.